Welcome to Official Ratings, boys. I'm Will.
I'm Brandon, and today we're rating childhood games.
Right, everybody here can remember as children playing games to pass the time with their friends, and what we've done today is compiled a list that I would say captures most of the important games, right? And what we're going to do is rate them from the top tier games, which are epic games, those that would probably still be fun today, all the way through games that suck so badly that we'd prefer to have just been put in timeout. So first cab off the rank, first game to rank, is What's the Time, Mr. Wolf?
Yeah.
And people who don't remember this game, What's the Time, Mr. Wolf is one where somebody who's in is the wolf, faces away from a group of people, and they start advancing towards them from an agreed location. And they say, "What's the time, Mr. Wolf?" You say something on the clock, and they walk that many steps forward. And eventually, when they say, "What's the time, Mr. Wolf?" you say, "Dinner time, rah." Turn around and chase them, and if they can make it back to the safe zone, they're safe. But if you touch them, they become a wolf. I think it's just a kind of shittier version of Tip. Because what it does, it takes away a lot of the actual chasing aspect of Tip and really just makes it a game of sort of figuring out how many steps away from your people are. You know?
I think the logistics of it's poor. There's clearly advantageous. It's more advantageous to be the wolf and say a really big number.
Yeah.
And get people close to you.
And then just say small numbers.
Or just say small numbers, whatever it is. It's like a bad tip.
Yeah, and what's more, there's obvious points of positional advantage. If you just put yourself way out on the wings, way away from the wolf, you're never going to get touched. So you're pretty much not in the game unless you're really in the game.
It's actually just a bad tip. That's what it is.
Tip itself, though, we should probably rate. I said, probably father of most childhood games. And I would say Tip is a fun game. It's good. I don't think it sits at the absolute top tier. And the only reason is I think some games have gotten the good of Tip and made them even better. What do you think?
Yeah, Tip's an OG game. It's definitely a fun game. Everyone knows how to play it. You don't have to be like, this is how we're playing it.
Yeah.
Most people, actually everyone at school knew what Tip was. So very easy to play, low barrier of entry, and just fun.
Yeah, and it's good. You can really, you can take advantage of the terrain in Tip. And in fact, now Tip is a competitive sport. If you go on YouTube, you can actually see people doing the World Tip Championships.
Yeah.
They call it the World Tag
Championships.
I
found that on my research too.
Yeah. Really good game. But again, Tip is also a bit dependent on the people that you're playing with, because obviously if there's one kid who's just really fat or really slow or in a wheelchair or something, then it's very easy to tag them.
A variant of Tip, Bull Rush.
Okay, Bull Rush, definitely it's somewhere in the average to good range. I think Bull Rush is What's the Time, Mr. Wolf? But it's actually easier for the person who's in, the wolf, to basically just size up the slowest person. So it's very easy to get yourself out of, or not get yourself out, it's very easy to build up a number of people to tag other people. So people who don't know Bull Rush, you basically try and cross an open space and somebody starts in, and if they tag you, then you join them in trying to tag other people on runs through until eventually there's only one person left, and once they've been tipped, the game's over. But you just keep going from end to end with a little pause in the middle. Definitely a fun game. And I like the fact that it's actually truly competitive because there's a winner in Bull Rush at the end.
And it's restrictive. What's the time, Mr. Wolf? You can walk in any direction. Bull Rush, you have to get to one spot.
Yeah.
Also, it's really funny when there's that one fat kid or motor moron that this is easy money. If you're in easy money, I'm gonna grow my team.
Yeah, but what's more, if you are that fat kid, and I was that fat kid for a little bit, I actually got decent at Bull Rush in spite of that.
Yeah.
But there are viable strategies for you to get around it. You can definitely do by teamwork, ensure that you're still building up the number of people.
That's a classic life lesson. You're disadvantaged, and you work your way around, and you find the solution to it.
Yeah.
Perfect.
All right. Let's just take a complete departure from tip-related games and talk about kissing games. And I think we should start with 7 Minutes in Heaven. So, guys, 7 Minutes in Heaven, two people are placed in a closet or a space where they can't be seen for 7 minutes. They can do whatever they want. They can kiss. Wikipedia says they can have sex, but we're a bit young for that.
Yeah.
They can talk quietly. They can do anything. And after 7 minutes, they open the closet. Although, of course, there's also the risk that people could open the closet during the 7 minutes and see what you're up to.
Okay. I'm going to just put this somewhere.
Right. You tell me what you think.
I'm going to give it one word, and that's all I need to give it.
Yeah.
I'm putting it here, and I'm saying yikes. That's it.
I need an explanation. Why yikes?
It's just really cringy. You're meant to have, with childhood games, you're meant to have fun.
Yeah.
I feel like this was when you're a kid, you're just a big beta boy. and you just really want to kiss a girl. So you're the kid who brings this up, but no one really wants to play this.
Yeah,
Everyone wants to play like a fun game.
It's definitely a hard game to initiate. You need one of those like very strong-willed children who can get everybody else to do it.
Yeah.
And they're there. They've obviously got somebody in mind they want to get in the closet with. So it's really just a game for one person to kind of a bit cringily, like, you know, like kiss somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not a huge fan of it.
Do you think it's bottom tier? Do you think would you prefer Time Out?
There are worse games in this list, but it's pretty poor.
Yeah.
I'm going to say it's a poor kissing game. One step better, in my opinion, is Spin the Bottle. And the reason Spin the Bottle is so good, or so good compared to that, at least, is that Spin the Bottle happens in the open. It's over quickly. And it's one of those games where, like, everybody knows what's coming up with every spin of the bottle. You get the excitement of watching them kiss or just watching the cringe play out in front of you.
Yeah.
But it also suffers from people really not subtly just repositioning themselves to be opposite somebody else in the circle.
Yeah.
I think Spin the Bottle's still a pretty poor game, in my opinion. What do you think?
Yeah, it's pretty poor. I just think kissing games in general are pretty, like, they're cringy. I think Spin the Bottle's more, like, kind of funny. It's just less try hard. Like, you just get a ball and you spin it.
Yeah.
And as a kid, like, you know why you're doing it for. I think 7 minutes in heaven is like, honestly, what are you going to do in 7 minutes when you're a kid? You know what I mean? Like,
no, nothing at all.
Spin the bottle. You know the objective is like, turn it, pick someone else, you kiss them. Done.
Yeah, but also Spin the Bottle can be really quickly derailed by people who just refuse to play once they actually get, pinged with it. So yeah, pretty average game. Another game, I'm just going to go straight up and say it's poor. Hopscotch. Hopscotch is just pretty lame. Like there's such a low skill ceiling for hopscotch. It's literally once you can jump forwards and then to the side once you can do hopscotch. What do you think?
I think because at school we had like the hopscotch layout.
Yeah.
And like we'd have handball, which we'll get into after, and hopscotch. Yeah. And I don't think I saw, for my whole years in primary school, so 7 years, I didn't see one person play hopscotch.
No. Yeah. Hopscotch is just a bit of an average game. We spoke about handball. So why don't we touch on handball now? I'm just going to immediately say handball is an epic game.
Yeah, I agree.
Handball is one of the best childhood games. Guys, like, there's so many variants on rules. Like, you can have footsies, you can have no footsies. Yep. You know, when you got a really good team of people who are evenly skilled, you can just say no joiners and just bar other kids from your group. You know, there's a rush for the handball courts every day. Like, Kevin Rudd plays handball. It's just cool.
Yeah, it's probably the most competitive one as well. And there's a clear, like, hierarchy to it. It's like, you're king, or like, and then you come down from there. So, like, it's great. Yeah. I have a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, handball's a great game. That's all that needs to be said. Why not hide and seek?
Okay.
Because hide and seek's one I think divides people. Hide and seek, I think, is a great game, like bordering on epic. It's somewhere in the top tiers. And I think the only reason you would find hide and seek less than fun is if you just use a bad area to play.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think hide and seek when you're younger, it's like you can play at anyone's house too. Like, it's very simple. And it's probably funner in those environments.
Yeah.
I think I had more fun playing Tip.
Yeah.
But I think I've had more fun than Bull Rush playing hide and seek. So it's a fun game.
It's really good fun. I think if you're in an environment that is small enough, like in a house, say, if you have like one level of a house, so it's small enough that there's not that many viable hiding places, but big enough that people can be creative and get up high on things and stuff. Yeah. It's a really good game. If you play hide and seek in just poor terrain, it's a bad game and it suffers for that. And it also just depends on the level of effort people are willing to go to hide. But overall, really like it, and particularly like it when people are willing to actually move hiding spots strategically to keep not being found. Very good game.
Better than Tip or worse than Tip?
Probably just worse than Tip, and only because it's more terrain dependent. Whereas Tip, you can play a good game of Tip in a variety of terrains.
All right.
44 Home. So I think 44 Home is better than What's the Time, Mr. Wolf by a good way. Probably worse than Bull Rush. 44 Home obviously has... So 44 Home is where somebody counts to 44 at a base location or a home location. And then after that point, people who have gone away from that point and hidden somewhere can start advancing towards it. If you get to the safe zone untouched, then you're fine. And if you get touched, then you're in the next round. I think the fact that you have a base location is just over-centralizing in the game.
Yeah.
Like, you can play just a really campy style and just basically hang out at base and just stall people into giving up. And it actually really, like, it penalizes you for actually going and trying to find people, which means finding a good hiding place is just a waste of time. So it's like okay, but it's not good.
Because it's similar to Bull Rush in a way. I think the base makes it worse than Bull Rush. I like Bull Rush because it's like, this is one, get to the other side. It's a simple objective, And then you can make your own fun out of that. Like,
well, you have to traverse a dangerous space that you know is occupied to get to a safe space. Whereas in this instance, there is a safe space. That's all you really need to defend. It's just okay. Like, I'd almost call it poor, but I think we've put What's the Time, Mr. Wolf in average games, and we couldn't fairly rate 44 Home worse. Chinese Whispers. So, complete change of tack, like one message gets passed through a group of people to the other side. As a game, it's pretty average. Like, probably would prefer Timeout, maybe a poor game.
Do you know what? I think it's definitely bottom tier.
Yeah.
I think actually that it's pretty poor, and I think it's better than Hopscotch.
Okay.
The reason is Chinese Whispers on its own, like as a game, just the whisper part is really bad.
Yeah, it sucks.
But one, it's in life, Chinese Whispers happens all the time. So it's like a life learning tool. Like, don't take information for what it is, especially if it's come from like multiple sources.
Yeah. Well, I can agree with that completely. Yep. It's also just very easily derailed by one malicious person in the game, which is also a good lesson for life to realize that like you can't rely on everybody around you to do their job well.
Also, the reason it's not like I would prefer Timeout, there's variants from Chinese Whispers. I think there's one where you like draw.
Yeah.
That's kind of fun. It's not Chinese Whispers, but it's created like other games.
Yeah.
That is kind of fun.
Okay. Well, yeah, I'll back that. I think it is a poor game. But because of its value as a learning tool, it's not quite bottom tier. A game that I think, though, has to rightfully go in bottom tier is Slime Yuck. Can you explain Slime Yuck to people? Do you want to maybe play a demonstration game?
Okay, we'll play it. Wait, do you think, where are we going to put Slime Yuck? Are we putting...
It's possibly worse than 7 Minutes in Heaven. That's how bad I think it sucks. What do you think? Do you think it's better?
I think it's better than 7 Minutes in Heaven. But I never played it as a kid. I learned it as an adult.
Okay, well, that's even worse.
So I never got to enjoy it. So maybe, like... It's the official rating, so I'd have to take that into consideration.
Yeah.
That I didn't even know about it.
Right.
So poor marketing.
Well, you can do it anywhere, provided that you have another person. So that's good. You don't need a closet.
Yeah.
But it's still a boring game. Let's explain how it works. All right. Ready? So what do we... So it's clap.
Okay. So you start like this.
Yeah.
I learned this by my physio, by the way, and my girlfriend.
Okay. So slide.
And then you go yuck.
Yuck.
Yeah. Slime, yuck, yuck. And clap.
Clap.
One. Back, forward. And then the next round is a double. Yeah. And then clap. And then again. And then you 3. Oh, shit.
So as you can see, it's pretty lame. And yeah, again, it's kind of skill capped. Like, I know we did badly there, but there's only so fast you can go. And you're also capped by the skill of your partner. So it's one of those things where unless you have a dedicated Slime Yuck partner, you can't really take the game very far. So just not very rewarding for children. Let's talk about Cops and Robbers. So I think Cops and Robbers basically gets like almost like the best of Bull Rush in that you have a building of difficulty and combines it with Tip. And for that, I reckon it's got to sit probably above Tip in the fun games. Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah, Cops and Robbers is one of those games. At my school, we just made it a war game. Like, we would literally, it started as Cops and Robbers, but what it was 2 teams.
Yeah.
And it would go on for weeks. Yeah. Like I'm saying... Someone would start the game and would have 2 teams and it would just be a war. Like, we would just go into the playground and sort of just attack each other.
Yeah.
And that was really fun. I had lots of fun.
And so when you've been successfully attacked, you then join the attacking force.
Yes.
Yeah. Look, Cops and Robbers, really good fun game. And again, I like the fact that there's a winner. I think it's high tier Tip. It's really good. All right. We can move on from there to the least active game left in this list, and that is Truth or Dare. Truth or Dare has so much potential as a game. Like, it can be absolutely epic, depending on your creativity. But I think it's just one of those games that's better on paper. And I've got to put it in the average. What do you think?
Yeah, it's just kind of average. At nighttime, when you're a kid and you have like a sleepover, it's like something you can do. When you have to be sort of quiet. You know what I mean?
I think it's better than What's the Time, Mr. Wolf. And possibly better than 44 Home. Because if you have people who are creative enough to ask good questions and think of good dares, and you have people who are adventurous enough to do it, hilarious game. Yeah. Really good. But the problem is there's always just one person who bitches it.
Yeah, and I think that's also a con in a way too. Like, if you don't have the right people, like, it's going to go downhill. Whereas like something like handball, the game itself carries it. You don't need other, like, of course it's better to have other people. You're going to have fun smoking everyone if you're good.
Yeah, I think in Truth or Dare, like, as well as kids, we're just less inclined to own up to things that are embarrassing. And so, like, if somebody asks you a truth that would be hilarious for you to, spill the beans on, more often than not, people lie. And so, again, On paper, great game, like could be an epic game, but in reality, the way it's played, probably just average. What about Duck Duck Goose? Let's leave those two to last. Okay. Duck Duck Goose. Duck Duck Goose is actually really good fun. The anticipation of waiting for someone to touch your shoulder, huge.
Yeah.
And like kids love it, but it's just worse than most of the other tip variants. I think it's just somewhere in the average games. What do you think?
I would probably put it. I'm on the border below or above 44 Home.
I think it's better than 44 Home. I'll tell you why. 44 Home's got the weakness we've spoken about, the centralizing of the safe zone. Duck Duck Goose doesn't have that. Like, you have a circle, you're going to have to run around it, right? Everyone's interacting constantly. You're always watching. People in the circle can form obstacles and things. Like, you have a zone and it's always competitive once someone's been called a goose.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's a good game. It's just less good than the rest of Tip. The other weakness of Duck Duck Goose, probably one of the reasons it doesn't go all the way up into the fun game tier, is just because with kids it's very predictable as well. Like, you know, two kids who are really good friends, or like if there's one adult in the group, like they're always going to be the goose, you know? It's like people aren't mature enough to actually like do it by chance.
Yeah.
All right, Marco Polo. Marco Polo is a great game that is probably partly limited by the fact that it has to be played aquatically.
Yep.
And also just limited by the fact that if the person who's in doesn't try hard enough, it sucks.
Yeah.
Everybody's had somebody have like the jellyfish strategy in Marco Polo where they just float in the pool and wait for you to get close to them.
Yep.
So I think it's one of those games where played well, it can actually go all the way up into the epic category, but in reality, it sits somewhere between fun and average. I'd probably put it low tier fun. What do you think?
I think hide and seek's better. Based on the environment, you can do hide and seek in a lot of places. Marco Polo has to be in a pool.
But if you just don't have the right people, even if you just don't have the right pool, Marco Polo is not that great, you know? Good game though. All right, final game we're going to rate for today. Takes everything good about Bull Rush and just makes it 1,000 times better. Tackle Bull Rush is an epic game.
Yep.
So Tackle Bull Rush is exactly what we said. I honestly think it might be the best game.
It's the best game.
It's so good. So it's just Bull Rush, but where you have to trip people or tackle them or get them to the ground.
Yeah.
It gets Bull Rush, adds danger, full contact element. It means the kids who were previously fat kids in Bull Rush that got absolutely bullied, they suddenly just go from being shit to real high tier players of the game.
Yeah, is that what you?
Yeah. And, you know, and the thing is, you're rewarded for so many play styles. If you can step, you're great in Tackle Bull Rush.
Yeah.
If you can just bounce people, you're great. You know, like, if you play a good defensive game of Tackle Bull Rush, like, if you get in the first round, you're still having so much fun for the rest of the game. Like, it is just so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't rate it anything less than probably the best game.
Yeah, it's definitely just the best. Like, you've taken the elements of Bull Rush, which is there's a simple objective that we said, which makes it good.
Yeah.
The middle is always dangerous.
Yeah.
And you've added more danger to it.
And there's like a defined winner and loser. Like, it's just a game where you basically win or lose on your own merits. It's awesome. That's the best childhood game.
Yep.
Childhood games,
you've been rated.
That's fucking good.